Are you interested in various healing modalities and exploring them a little farther? Then you're in the right place. Thank you for joining us this evening on Nature's Mysteries Medicine Show. I'm Michele Wildflower. I am the host and host for the show, but I'm also the Director of Education for Nature's Mysteries Academy of Holistic Health. And this evening, we're going to be exploring aromatherapy and the benefits of using essential oils, what they are, how we can use them. I'm going to be talking about ginger and frankincense essential oils specifically this evening. And this whole month of December, we're going to be exploring alternative healing therapies, such as, like I said, this evening, we're going to be talking about aromatherapy. And on this is our 33rd episode this year, and we're taking a week off next week because I'll be visiting my daughter in Florida, and then the following week we'll be back December 20th, and we'll be discussing gem therapy, and then hydrotherapy, and then on December 27th, we'll be discussing gem therapy and the ways that we can use gems as healing tools in our wellness journey. So how does that sound? Does that sound good? Awesome. So let's get started. For this evening, I wanted to, break down essential oils and really kind of unpack what they are. And I don't know, if many people are really familiar with how healing they can be. So I've been using essential oils in our business for the last 20 plus years. But before I took my essential oil coaching certificate, I had never really understood the true power that they have. I've helped people feel better for years, but I didn't know that they were just as powerful of medicine and all the different ways that you could use them, besides just, topically or diffusing them. So that's what I wanted to explore with you this evening. They've been used for thousands of years, so they're completely safe when used properly, and they're basically it's kind of like the lifeblood of the plant. It's the healing properties of it, and they extract those compounds with, usually it's like a distillation process, and they come from various parts of the plant. It could be either from the leaves, it could be from the flower, it could be from the bark or the roots. So there's many different plant parts. Just because it's an essential oil doesn't mean that it's from any specific plant part. So in herbal medicine, there's so many options, right? There could be medicine coming from a tree, there could be medicine coming from a mushroom, there could be medicine coming from the ocean in the form of seaweed. So it could be in the form of lichen or moss, like usnea in the woods. And so I was actually contracted, all those plants that I just mentioned are in my book, Discover the Essence of Plant Medicine, the 5 Principles of Life-Saving Herbs. And I was actually contracted to write that by the University of Natural Health as an herbal course for them. And it's a prerequisite. All the students that go through the school have to read my book and take my course. So if you're interested in exploring more into essential oils and the ways to use them, we talk about 33 different plants in the book, how to grow them, harvest them, store them, prepare them, and apply them. So that's another option for you if you want to learn a little bit more than we're going to talk about in this episode. And basically what the distillation process does is it separates the oil from the water, leaving us with a super concentrated oil. So ideally, honestly, you wouldn't apply essential oils directly to your skin. There are some that it might be okay, but if you're not really sure, you might as well just dilute all of them. And what they do, the way that they actually help our bodies to heal and trigger healing within our bodies is essential oils trigger neurotransmitters in our brain to secrete certain hormones specific to the essential oil's properties. So depending on what it is that you're trying to alleviate, you could either diffuse it in a diffuser, and honestly, you don't have to have any kind of fancy diffuser or anything like that. It could just be in a, you could like put a couple of essential oils in a bowl of water and just let that kind of evaporate into the air. They do have some where underneath it's kind of like an oil burner where it has a candle underneath, and you could put, it has like a little saucer, and you could put a little water in there and a couple drops, and it'll just slowly diffuse it into the air. Or, you know, you could get one of those diffusers where you put it in there and it actually, you know, blows the particles into the air, so it's very easily absorbed. Inhalation therapy. And, you know, especially if you have someone who is experiencing symptoms, and maybe it's, you know, like an older person in the family, or someone who there's a lot of family members who have a lot of opinions, maybe about herbal medicine, and everyone's like, you know, it's a big controversy about whether it's okay to use it with this person or not. Like, especially in a hospital setting, when my mom was in the hospital, they, you know, wouldn't let me give her any of the remedies that I knew that would help her, which could be frustrating at times. But what I realized I could do was I could just diffuse some essential oils into the room. And that would be an excellent way for me to get those terpenes and essential oil compounds into her nostrils so she could inhale them and we could get the healing going. But to the hospital, I wasn't really giving her anything. I wasn't, you know, giving her anything internally. I wasn't rubbing anything on her topically. And whether they knew it or not, I knew that we were speeding up that healing process. And many of the hospital staff, when they would come in the room, would say, "Oh, it smells so good in here." And it's like, right, well, it's more than just like a room deodorizer or some kind of fragrance that a lot of people would plug in or spray in the room or something that actually probably has like over 400 different chemicals in it, because fragrance, when you see the word fragrance on either a candle or any kind of body care product or spray or anything like that that you're going to use on yourself, fragrance actually could be any number of 400 different chemicals that they don't have to disclose on the label. So when we're diffusing essential oils, not only are we making it smell better in there and actually purifying the air and deodorizing the room and improving the air quality, but like I said, we're also triggering neurotransmitters inside our brain to secrete specific healing compounds that are specific to those essential oils properties. So a lot of people are starting to learn more and more about essential oils because they are safe medicine and they are so easy to use, and they don't have debilitating side effects like the prescriptions that our doctor prescribes. So the many different ways, properties that they have is they could be detoxifying your system, they're antibacterial, they could be antifungal, antimicrobial, antiparasitic, antibiotic. There's so many different, they could be analgesic, pain relieving. There's so many different properties and parts of our body that they have that they can target. And the beauty of it is that many of these essential oils are adaptogens. And if you're not familiar with what adaptogens are herbs that help our bodies deal with stress, adapt to stress in whatever way that means. So that could mean lowering cortisol levels and, you know, lowering the adrenaline and endorphins that you have going if you're kind of in fight or flight mode. Or maybe you're someone who's like, you know, really low energy, and you could actually use a little more endorphins and adrenaline in your system. So then, you know, it would help get your energy going. So you know, sometimes like when I sell CBD products at Nature's Mysteries Apothecary, and when I'm telling folks, you know, like someone comes and asks about a product for insomnia, and if they're interested in our drops, I'll tell them to take the drops, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, and they're like, but if I'm taking it for insomnia, is it going to make me tired? But what they don't understand is that cannabis and hemp are adaptogen herbs, so they help our bodies adapt to stress in whatever way that means, in addition to bringing our bodies back into homeostasis, which is like balance on all levels, from temperature, glucose, appetite. If you had too much of one hormone, it would decrease it. Not enough of one, it would increase it. So plant medicine and herbs are an excellent alternative to, you know, like I said, when your doctor prescribes something and you want the relief, but you just don't want to have those side effects that come with it and disturb, you know, that can create disturbances inside your body and imbalances, especially if used for prolonged periods. And not all herbs you can use for prolonged periods. Some you should only use for a couple weeks at a time, or maybe only 5 times throughout the year. But if there is one that you can't use for extended periods, there are other ones that you can use throughout those times when you're taking that little break for accumulation to make up for and to alleviate whatever symptoms that you're trying to manage. So frankincense oil, I wanted to give you a couple of uses for that. Frankincense is great for any kind of like headaches, relieving any kind of inflammation or pain in the body. If you had cold or flu symptoms, you could diffuse it in the air, and like I said, it would help to deodorize the room and purify the air. It also helps with any kind of indigestion or skin healing, any kind of wounds. It's a great anti-aging product. So you could apply a couple drops to like some olive oil or something like that and apply it to your skin. And it helps minimize the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. And it also helps with stretch marks or any kind of scarring to diminish the appearance of scars. It has anti-aging properties because of its high antioxidant properties, and it also fights wrinkles, not only as well as minimizing the appearance of them. You could make a stress relieving bath and just put a couple of drops in the bathtub and just soak in there, and that would be a great way if you wanted to get the skin benefits to just soak in the bath. And it's also great, actually it works on your brain, so it does have antidepressant qualities, and so it can help if you're feeling kind of, you know, like your emotional health could use a little boost. And the other essential oil that I wanted to talk about this evening was ginger essential oil. And basically it's just like from ginger, you know, the herb that you might use or spice that you might use in cooking, only it's much more concentrated. And most of these essential oils wouldn't be taken internally. Just like I said, they wouldn't be safe to apply to the skin directly. There are some that practitioners may advise for internal use, but if you're not sure, then you should definitely consult a practitioner before you start taking any essential oils internally. But diffusing them or topical use usually is safe. If you were going to diffuse the oils, I really wouldn't have them diffusing for like hours on end all through the day. You could just diffuse them for like 45 minutes at a time or something like that, and that should be long enough to just kind of disperse those molecules into the air. And, you know, just kind of, like I said, we want to increase the inhalation, right? So get them up into your nasal passages. And ginger essential oil is great for any kind of digestive health or indigestion. You could either apply a couple of, it also helps with constipation and ulcers. It reduces gas and relieves nausea. It eases abdominal pain. Wow, that was easy for me to say, huh? And if you were using it for nausea, you could just diffuse 2 or 3 drops in a diffuser, or you could just apply those drops, just like 1 to 2 drops directly onto your stomach. Like we said, put them in in some kind of oil, like olive oil or almond oil or safflower oil or something like that, and you could apply it directly to your stomach. And that was one of the things that I learned that was I was surprised to learn when I took my essential oil coaching certificate course, because I didn't know that you could apply them. Like, it sounds crazy. I knew that you could use them for pain, right? And that they bring down, alleviate inflammation and all that. But I don't know why I didn't had never thought of just applying them directly onto a specific organ that is experiencing discomfort, and it will go to work directly on that organ. So I just think, plant medicine is so cool in those aspects. If you were needing to aid digestion, or you wanted to get rid of toxins, you could apply a couple of drops of ginger oil to a bath and just soak in there, and that would also have detoxing properties to it. Sometimes when people experience symptoms, it doesn't have to be, just one thing that's making you experience discomfort. It could be an accumulation of toxins that have, kind of like the tipping point, you know what I mean, where you get just too many in your system, and it just starts, making your body feel sluggish, and your systems aren't really performing at their optimum level or function. So sometimes just taking a detoxifying bath can alleviate symptoms that you might not even suspect. It has ginger oil also has anti-inflammatory properties. So if you were experiencing any kind of sore muscles or inflammation or joint pain, arthritis, anything like that, gout, it could actually help bring down the inflammation as well. And migraines, it can also help with, and headaches, arthritis, like we said. And it's also capable of helping to ease feelings of nervousness, helplessness, anxiety, unhappiness, and fatigue. So, around this time of year, it can either be overwhelming, preparing for the holidays, but if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of family in your life, then that can actually affect your emotional health as well and feel overwhelming. So ginger essential oil could be an excellent option to help boost your spirits and, just lift your mood a little bit, and diffusing that essential oil in the room. You could, orange essential oil is another essential oil that can induce happy feelings and feelings of joy. So that's one you could blend the essential oils. That's the other beauty of plant medicine and herbs and aromatherapy, is that you could blend them if you were looking for, specific symptoms that you were trying to target, and one essential oil didn't seem to do it all, then you could look for another plant that could alleviate those symptoms and just combine, maybe 1 drop of this one to 2 drops of that one or something like that. And you could combine 3 essential oils if you wanted to, and make your own blends. A lot of times you could make really aromatic formulations that are just so pleasing that not only are affecting physiological changes in your body that are helping you feel better, but it actually smells really good, and it makes you happy when you smell it, right? Okay, so how does that sound? Does that sound easy enough? Essential oils, like I said, you could just put them in a spray bottle or something like that if you didn't want to put them in a bowl. If you wanted to be able to carry that medicine with you, and say if you knew that you were going into some kind of confrontation or situation that was going to be difficult or taxing on you in some way, you could always just fill up a little spray bottle with a couple ounces of water and put a couple drops of your favorite essential oils in there and spray it in your car right before you got to get out and go deal with whoever it is. You could also make a blend and, and And there are scholarships available and payment plan options. So you can go to naturesmysteries.com and see what the program is about, what it includes. You can see what the book is about. It's actually 650 pages. There's over 150 different recipes in there. We go over herbs for children and pet cancer, a little history of herbs, and then the 33 plant profiles where we're exploring what conditions they relieve, how to prepare them in a remedy, what some of the biochemical constituents are in there that are the active ingredients, what the energy and flavors of the plant are in Chinese medicine, and a little history on the herb and why it's been used for so long and where it's been used in the world, and if its roots trace back to traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurvedic medicine. And so there's a lot of information in there. It'll definitely keep you busy. And we would love to have you join us in our January 25th winter session. One of our last session students just got her board certification. So we're accredited with the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. Upon completion of our 12-week holistic health practitioner program, you can apply to them to become a holistic health a board certified holistic health practitioner. And one of our students actually just got her board certification in the mail today. And they also give you a little card that you can fit in your wallet and show people that you're a board certified holistic health practitioner. And you can frame that and put it in your office so that when others have a consult with you, they can know that you are actually qualified in what you are consulting them about, that you actually have taken the time to get certified. So, like I said, we'd love to have you join us. You can go to naturesmysteries.com to learn more. Share this episode with someone if you know someone who is interested in aromatherapy and how to use it. You can share this with them, and we'll look forward to seeing you not next week, but the week after that, December 20th, when we're discovering the essence of plant medicine. Take care.